This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, welcome everybody. It is Monday, May 20th, 2024. This is the meeting of the Easthampton Energy Advisory Committee. Jamie Paquette, the chair, joined by members John Pepe, Cassie Eckhoff, Connie Dawson, Josh Rosenblatt, as well as Cassie Traggart from the Planning Department Conservation Agent. Thank you all for being here. First order of business is the review and approval of the minutes from the April 22nd meeting.
I move to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
John, did you get a chance to see?
Josh seconds. Okay, well, all those in favor of approval? Aye.
Aye.
You abstaining?
I didn't see him.
Look at the electric bus section and just make sure I didn't do something that I'm gonna be unhappy with.
Okay, but later.
Yeah, and we'll sort of postpone acceptance. until your special
Well,
meeting.
acceptance.
The minutes.
I think I got it okay.
All right, well, acceptance approved with one
Okay.
abstention. If you'd like to weigh in on something after the fact. We can reopen it if we need to. I don't think we need to do that though. Okay, approved, moving on. Please submit those to the city clerk's office.
Yes.
And next is public speak. We do have one member of the public here. Lydia joining us again.
Actually, that's something I want to tell you guys about.
Awesome.
I'm sorry, I just told me your name again.
Lydia.
Lydia.
Berry, B-E-R.
Thank you.
I was looking at the email from the Connecticut River Conservancy, and there's like 2 days left to make a comment about the relicensing of the hydroelectric facilities up in Northfield and Turner's Falls. And there's some interesting I was watching the videos about the effect it has on the river and farmers, and you can submit sort of what you think about it to the FERC. I forget what that stands for, but
Federal Energy Regulatory. Yeah.
it seems like they're getting kind of a last push of people in the community who live and work on the river around there. So I just thought you might be interested in that.
Pushing to support it or to oppose it?
Adjust it's like a 50-year license.
Right.
And I think the Conservancy feels like it's not, they aren't putting enough of their profits back into sort of recreation and erosion control. In Northfield, I think First Light is sort of saying we have nothing to do with why the riverbanks are eroding, even though there's evidence to support that what they're doing is doing that.
Okay.
And they fully want to stop paying for any erosion control. So I think people writing in and being you have to pay for that if you're gonna use the river to make money.
Right.
And so I think they're pushing that in the last few days, just to get people writing in and saying what they think.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You said that's through the Connecticut River Conservancy?
Yeah, and they have directions on their website related to that. They can take you through the website and how to submit a comment.
Great, thanks for bringing that to us.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Any other members of the public appearing on the thin air? I don't see anyone. All right, so we move on to a couple updates here. On the Bees Committee side, on our last meeting, focusing on, again, a city council. I think the city council has passed a resolution in favor of attempting to become a bee city, the designation given by the Xerxes Society. So steps are now being taken to meet the requirements for that designation. And once that happens, so the official thing will be passed. The committee did do some tabling this past weekend. If anyone went to the Pascomic Trust plant sale here in the 50th Basin parking lot, there were some members of the committee present passing out information on pollinator-friendly planting and other things related to that. This is May. So it is, no mow May is the thing
It's
that,
amazing how tall that grass actually gets.
well,
Mine-
and I'm gonna editorialize for a second here, because I've been doing, I participated in it last year and I didn't mow my lawn or whatever, but the more there's actually a bunch of pushback, and not all of it is in bad faith. There's actually a lot of research being done, a lot of discussion being had about, the fact that you're talking about turf grass. Turf grass is not really a great habitat for pollinators and other things anyway. So not mowing your grass, you're actually not really accomplishing anything in some people's thinking, some people's study. And that, and unless you're taking steps to remove that grass and actually put in more pollinator-friendly plants, or like to designate that, you're actually better off cutting it not super low, but actually keeping it maintained is better for you, because again, those grasses aren't providing pollen or anything else. There's also a larger question of how much is really accomplished by any, focusing just on like people's yards and things like that, versus larger scale policies that would have a larger effect. Like, the impact of one lawn, even like replacing part of it, is overall pretty low. Just lots of things out there to read, and it's interesting what can't be captured in like a 3-word slogan, right? There's obviously a lot more nuance to things. Certainly a lot of things that I've been reading and learning about related to that, and like what it actually takes to do that. So I say all that as a way of absolving myself from having mowed my lawn yesterday.
My bar is that it's really hard to mow a 6-inch or 12-inch
Well, that's
long grass with an electric mower.
right, right, or with a hand-powered mower.
And second sidebar is if you neglect your lawn enough, good stuff does finally start taking over.
Well, that's
like
right.
The clover will take over without much.
Yeah, I've been trying to plant more clover in my yard.
Even if you don't plant clover, if you just neglect your lawn. That's my advice.
Benign neglect.
Yes.
So anyway, the committee will be doing some more, continuing outreach. They're going to be looking at other ways to reach people, maybe like green drinks sort of thing, or other public-facing events. I think they're going to be maybe sharing a table with us for cultural chaos and that sort of thing. So if you haven't met any other people on that committee, there'll be some chances to do so. There's some good folks working with that committee as well. So anybody have any questions or any messages you'd like me to bring back to that committee? All right, the sad part of the committee updates. The conservation agent update. Cassie, both.
Is this your last meeting?
No, it's not gonna be the last meeting. We'll have an appropriate send up
Yes.
for later this summer.
Yeah. Bees knees.
But there you
Yes.
go. That's right.
The first meeting.
There you go.
Post-meeting cocktail or something.
I would.
But yeah, so Cassie has informed us that she will be leaving at the end of the summer, leaving employment with the city because you go to grad school, right? Congrats.
And where would that grad school be?
In Germany. I don't
In
know exactly
Germany?
where, yeah.
Holy
I don't know.
moly.
Yeah, I know. It sounds crazy.
Where?
I don't know exactly yet. I applied to like a bunch of programs.
Okay.
Programs are in English. There's only like 200 euros a semester, insanely enough. So
Wow.
it's like you just have to drop everything in your life here and move there.
Right.
So
But you don't know which location?
well, yeah. So I applied to a bunch. I got into 2.
Okay.
And so I knew as long as I got into one of them, I was going to go. But I haven't chosen yet from those 2, and I don't know yet. I'll hear from the others throughout the rest of the summer.
Wow.
But I'm hoping to get into one in Cologne is my top choice. So
Okay.
we'll see what happens. I hope I get into that one. But I'm going to.
Cassie, you must be fluent in German?
Can that change?
Oh,
What
thank
is
you.
the typical name of the program?
Well, it's all different. They all have a different aim. They're all generally focused in sustainability / climate action. So this is the work I've done with you guys that has inspired me the most to go further with it. So
Nice.
I appreciate you all for that. Like this is part of the reason why, big reason why. So
We'll rent our data to you
Yeah.
for your research and stuff like that.
Or we'll have to go
Nice.
bring our data to Cologne.
And also, we need to be able to contact you for all the questions.
Oh, yeah.
that we have.
it's just deal with the 6-hour delay and we'll be fine. Like I And if you, this might be a good point to launch into the rest of what I had planned and what I was thinking for the transition, because I'm not leaving until August 1st is the deadline I had to give myself. But yeah, even after that, definitely like people can still reach out to me. We can talk. Like if I can't, I don't have time to do it, I'll just tell you that. But I would be happy to stay involved, obviously respectfully for the replacement, not like over usurping what they're going to be doing.
Right.
But I sent you all an email and I listed out the goals, what I had for the remaining time that I have, which I think is realistic enough. And then I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about the plan to replace me and like how I'm working on that as well. So I don't know
let's
which
go
one.
and do all that now.
Okay, so the plan to replace me, I just spoke with HR again today. I've been in communication with the HR department and the mayor's office, trying to have there be no gap essentially is the goal. And so what they were able to work out in terms of how to budget it is basically there's going to be, I basically do the work of two roles right now essentially. There's the sustainability work and the conservation commission work. They are going to very soon post a position for the conservation agent and then search for it, and then hopefully they'll start with overlap. They would be at 20 hours a week. I do full time right now, which is 34. But they'd be at 20 hours so that they have been able to shift around funding to make a sustainability coordinator position. So they're working on that. That one will come a little later, as far as I understand it.
I'm sorry. So they're going to hire someone for 20 hours a week who will be the conservation agent.
Correct.
And the plan is in the near future to hire a sustainability coordinator.
Almost simultaneously, like they're crafting that, but that request because it's a new position, has to go to city council.
Okay.
This one, they can just post it now for my position.
Okay.
But they have to go to city council. So that one's going to be a few months delayed, may not be an overlap, but we'll try for it.
Okay.
So not like way off in the future. It's like that's the justification for reducing the hours of the agent.
So will the sustainability coordinator be full-time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
And
That's
that person
really
would be
great.
like, that's like your staff person. That's for sustainability only. Like that would be, they can help you a lot. Is my
I gotta get this person hired before we even recommend it with our climate action plan.
I know.
To take that off the recommendation.
No, keep it on there so you can check it out
Yes,
immediately.
right.
Yes.
So you're someone, who often
Yeah.
makes lists with things I've already done, just so I can check them off.
Exactly.
Builds momentum.
Absolutely do. But it's important to understand, like, we might not find that person before I leave. They might have to come on after I leave, but there will be a conservation agent who might be able to like help a little with these. I don't really know. So trying to make there not be a gap for you guys, but there might be. Yeah. So that's what's hard. But what else was I gonna say? So then the priorities that I created for what I'd like to get done before I leave is finishing the climate action plan, obviously, like in its entirety. It's out, it's done. And I think that's possible in that we've already set a deadline to have it done by July 25th because of the climate leader designation. So we need to meet that deadline anyways. So then that should be plenty of time to do that. They confirmed in my last meeting with them that is a fine goal and we can do that. So the next thing is continue to work on the specialized code and the ZEV policy adoption, which is underway. I mean, I don't know how much longer, Connie, you might have a better idea than I do of how much longer that has to go.
It's really up to the ordinance committee now. They have to agree to send it forward to the city council. They're meeting again tomorrow.
Right.
So what did you say? The specialized code and what?
The zero emission vehicle policy.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so which is just an updated version of the fuel efficient vehicle policy that we have. Those two are the last remaining requirements of the climate leader designation. So the CAP will fulfill a bunch of those, and then getting those two policies passed would fulfill the last of them. So the next one would be applying for the climate leader designation, again, due in July. So seems doable. We already laid out, I can check off one. We laid out a plan with HR to create the sustainability coordinator position. It's like actively in the works. The next
What email was this?
This was sent on May 9th. And the email I sent to was Gianni Pepe at Gmail.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I know I have it here.
Okay. And let's see. So the next project would be the heat pump program. So that RFP is out. I don't really know the timeline for when they're going to stop accepting RFPs. I know, there's a due date.
Due date is Friday.
It is this Friday. So there's that, but then I don't know how long we have until it selects someone, but hopefully it won't be too long.
I think, it would take a month maybe. I know you're part of the review committee, but I would hope that it wouldn't take that long to do that. Because, good.
I guess I'm curious, do you know how many organizations have applied, if
No.
any?
I haven't got any notice about that. I'm kind of just waiting to hear from Mass CC and the rest of the group or DOAR.
Right.
Excuse me, what the next steps are, because I'm kind of just like, okay. But I'll just keep you guys posted on that. Because I certainly would like, obviously your input would be absolutely critical in choosing who people are. So
Mhm.
that was my plan for that, but also again, actively underway. This will make more sense once we have the CAP finished. So by like after July, whenever we meet after that, or maybe we can have a special meeting if we don't have one scheduled in time, to talk about execution of the CAP. Especially then we'll have a better idea of when to expect a sustainability coordinator to come into place. But it'd be talking about existing projects that are going to keep going that are related to the CAP, and then maybe trying to highlight ones that you want to go for next. Just talking about or how to reach out to other departments to help nudge them to try.
You're saying that's something that's on your agenda to try to wrap up or have something in place between now and you leave?
Yeah, I'd like to have some kind of meeting to discuss this now finished CAP. Like, how do we go forward executing this? Like,
Okay.
what will be the next steps? Like, you already have projects underway that are in it that probably
Right.
would just keep pursuing those, but
You want to wait till the actual final version is published, or until at least we have the final version that's going to be published?
that would be I think at least so that, especially this most current review of the action piece, it sounds like we're pretty good. We probably do it pretty soon, actually, honestly. Like, it's up to you guys.
Okay, well, I'd say we could make time at the next meeting to do it. I
Yeah.
could build out an agenda item that just like
That's a good idea.
spends time with that.
Yeah, that sounds
Or
good.
the July meeting, which June we have on the calendar, July we do not yet, but,
I'm cool with doing it in June. It's up to you guys, I guess, really.
okay.
Does that mean I can share it with Edith yet?
Well, so that's the other piece, and I don't know if we want to discuss this when we get into the actual review, because that was
I
something
wasn't sure where this was
No, yeah,
on the
this is
agenda.
more just my
Still on
Your
updates.
adios.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I do want to talk about that though, because I
Okay,
think it's a
good.
critical piece of trying to figure out like how do you want to. But it's been a topic of discussion before, so I was like, oh, we should wait to see. So then the last two things. So a lot of those things don't really. There's not much action that I need from you guys to do those things, as far as I can tell. Obviously, I'll keep you informed. But the last two might be more involved with you, and one is that Mass Energy Insights access. I just am worried that if so say worst case scenario, just no one applies to sustainability coordinator position. The one thing that definitely needs to keep happening is the green communities reporting, which isn't due until next November. It's a while away, but I'd like to maybe have somebody designated to volunteer to take that on. It's really not that complicated. I can show you how to do it, and give you the credentials.
Temporarily
Yeah,
volunteering.
temporarily. But I'm just trying to think of worst case scenario. And I think it would be helpful for one of you all to have the credentials to get in there and look at it. And then also just to better understand what that process is. So I know it sounds like a daunting thing, but it really isn't that crazy.
No,
Yeah,
let's-
okay.
I'll volunteer if no one else wants, or we can
Okay,
discuss
well,
it.
let's discuss that a
Okay.
little bit.
Yeah, we don't need to figure it out right now.
Upcoming meeting, but it's good to have on the radar.
And then
Because
we'll-
again, we'll know more about hiring plans and everything.
Exactly.
Hopefully
yeah, maybe a moot
between
point.
now and then, so.
And then the last thing is that I've been in communication with someone who's interested in being an intern for the sustainability stuff. So my hope is that they can help kind of tie up these loose ends before I leave. I don't know exactly when they'd start. The last email I got from them was that they need to finish up their finals, which should be right around now probably. So I'm thinking hopefully maybe June or July they would come on. I don't know how long
So
they're willing to do it.
unpaid internship?
Unpaid, so it's
Oh,
really
really?
up to them how long they wanted to do, how intensive they want to do it.
As
I
a
mean, that's
college
just-
student?
It's a college student, and just from my moral perspective, because they're unpaid, it's really they can kind of craft it
Right.
and see what they're willing to do.
So, but you're concerned that, who will they report to once you leave?
Well, I think that they would only be doing internship for the period that I'm here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
it would just
okay.
be I wouldn't have them keep going unless you guys wanted to and they were interested in doing that. Maybe you could, and they would just serve you guys. And
Are they
do
going to
some-
school in the Amherst area or something?
I want to say New Hampshire College. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're close. But yeah, otherwise I don't really know anything about them, but I'm sure, if someone wants to volunteer their time, and I'll give
Yeah.
you, I'll sign off whatever course credit, whatever you need. So I've done it once before with another intern for Concom, which went well. So, and then, yeah, those are my goals. So I guess purpose of saying all that was like, am I forgetting anything? Is there anything else you guys want to make sure that is on this list of things that I'm going to do before I left? And is it prioritized correctly? Even just that, or is there stuff you think I should take off or whatever?
You do so much, Cassie, and you do so much that we don't even know you do half the time.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add or subtract or anything at this point.
No.
We'll just keep.
Yeah, this isn't the only chance. If people
Right.
think of things, just let me know. You can just shoot me an email.
I would like to have a chance as a committee to at least comment on a job description for the sustainability corridor before it goes out the door. I mean, that's
That's a good idea.
largely working with us, I would guess, not entirely, but largely, and.
Yeah.
And, I mean, to the extent you have a role in it, I'm sure it's pretty much on target, but since we'll be living with, or working with, the replacement, we should at least have a look at it.
Yeah, that would be cool. I guess it's up to the discretion of HR/the mayor's office if they're willing to let you guys do that. I'm more than happy to ask, and I
I'm
will.
not talking about interviewing.
No, I know. Well, even so, though,
Where's the job description gonna come from?
Yep,
Some
yep.
off the shelf from some other,
Chat
or mix up yours, combine your informal stuff with, yeah.
So what I had done with Jeff before he left, because he knew it was a long shot, he was like, I'll just put a bid out there. We very quickly crafted one together, but I think it could be worth re-looking at, reworking it. It's pretty comprehensive, just pulled from different communities that have sustainability coordinators. And then I took a list of the duties that I do and inserted it in there.
So it's already developed.
It has, but it's not the final version, certainly. So I would say what I would do is reach out to HR in the mayor's office and be like, they're really interested in helping you with this and looking at it and giving feedback on the description. And then if you're okay with it, I would say it's worth asking to see how involved they'll let you be with the hiring process. Because maybe they will. Maybe they would want maybe just the chair to sit on the interview or something like that. Because
Right.
when I interviewed for the conservation agent position, the conservation commission chair was there.
Okay.
So I think
Yeah, I'd
that's
be
worth an
interested in
ask.
being part of that for sure. So you're going to ask the mayor's office, or you?
If
want
it's
me
okay with
to-
you guys,
Yeah,
I'll do it.
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I can ask Lindsay or whatever too, but.
Actually, probably good for you to chime in too, Jamie. Add a little more cred.
For the do it together. So he said
Yeah.
it'd probably be a good idea for the
You do it together.
chair to do it with us together.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay.
To also ask about, yeah, that's fine. I can put an outreach to them, to have some input on that. Yeah, I'd certainly like to see in the job description something that talks a lot about public outreach and prioritizes people who have experience with that sort of thing and engaging the community versus somebody who's necessarily so policy heavy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, certainly I would want the policy part too, but.
You can kind of learn that.
You
but
can
the-
learn that, you can cobble that together from other things, and you can learn, you can learn about community outreach as well, if you've never done it.
Yeah, I think
But-
that's a pretty steep curve to learn all the technical aspects of what that job involves. I wouldn't
Yeah,
underestimate how long it's taking you as doing another job at the same time to get where you are
right,
and somebody who understand our plan enough to know how to put the ingredients together.
for sure.
What's the salary range?
I couldn't say. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what the city is possible for the city to do. It's and I've seen a wicked range online for different
Mhm.
positions. Sometimes it's very high, and other times it's not disparaging at all, but it's not very high comparatively. So I really don't know what is possible for the city to do. Yeah. And I don't think we had a range on there on the draft that I made. I don't think we had one.
Well, I will just reiterate one thing that I sent out via email, which is in that webinar that we were on, was about community engagement and public outreach, whatever. The point that the people doing it made was, I don't know how anybody does this without a paid staff person.
I know.
Essentially a full-time, sustainability / energy person. So it's good. I mean, I know that was one of our big priorities for the climate action plan and just in general, trying to, and glad that we didn't have to come up with a way to fund it. Hopefully the funding that they have put together for it will be adequate to attract suitable candidates. We'll see what the job description looks like and see what HR and mayor's office can tell us about what their plans are.
We'll
Well,
definitely
Cassie, thank you
do that.
for everything.
Oh, yeah,
We'll
no,
think that
we-
many
yeah.
times between now and
Yeah.
August.
You have plenty of time.
Yes, that is not the only chance we'll have. But yeah, appreciate everything that you've done, all the
Yes.
hard work
Thank you all.
that you do at our meetings and in between and running the computer and everything else.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Been a total asset to everything that we've done.
Couldn't have done it without you,
Oh, it's so
since you did a lot.
That's right.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
For the mayor updates portion, I don't have any updates here. I mentioned to Lindsay real briefly last week that we were meeting today, but I don't think it got on the mayor's calendar. So make another push for June, see if, come to that. June 17th is the next meeting that we have, just for the record. It is on the city website, or not, yeah, it should be on the website already because we've got that scheduled out. After that, we do not have anything scheduled as of now. So onto the climate action plan. We've talked a little bit about this already and the goal to have it done by July 25th. Yeah, so besides that, what's the latest update from internal discussion?
So we have this latest draft, which again is just about the actions with the added in description of how we develop the actions, like reviewing the barriers and like the outreach we did, things like that. So, but then it's kind of like that long form that we discussed previous meetings, and then the short form for all the actions, how they're going to show now. The formatting is pretty ugly, I think, but this is not the final form. So hopefully you're all able to get in there and find where the things are.
Did you send that to us?
I did, yeah, I did.
Sorry.
I'm not sure what day it was. I think it was
It's in
Thursday.
the drive too,
Yeah.
though, right?
Okay, good, all right.
Yeah, yes, it's in the drive. So, and I linked to that part of the drive in the last meeting. So in my last email. So, I know, and I wanted to do a little, if you guys wanted a little tutorial, but I can't really do it in the way this is set up. But I can after people having issues getting in there. I'm happy to do a little quick with you guys to show you how to get in there / how to make edits. The big point is that if you guys could read it and put comments in there, or send me written out comments, or call me and talk to me about your comments. I can write it down myself. By the first week of June is what they're trying to do, to try to stay within our timeline there. That's what we're hoping for. The question is, do we want to simultaneously put it out wide for other boards and committees / department heads, or just department heads, or just the boards and committee? Like, I know this was a topic of discussion before and seemed important. So, I think we could send it out to everybody else. Like, I don't know if it's ready to go to the public yet. I think we want a more final version to go to the public, and then they're going to have like a comment form, Google form people can use. But for this, it was pretty easy to send around the first action list we got to all the department heads, and we can send it even wider to boards and committees like EDIC and basically all of them, I guess, is what I would do. But I didn't know if you guys had feelings about that. Like, no, we still want to wait, or wait until you guys are done in the first week of June and then send it out. It's up to you guys.
Our comments should be pretty minimal at this point, right?
I think so, but it's hard to say. I mean,
Whose comments?
yours.
Well, she's saying
committees.
we've had a chance we've been in the thick of it, so we've had more chance to see it and offer comment, but as they continue to build stuff out, there may be things that,
I'm not saying we wouldn't have any comments,
Sure.
but
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I'm fine with a wider review, more people taking a look at it. I mean, those that are motivated to do so and actually provide comments, like, that's great.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people are gonna look at it and be like, yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know, tell me when it's done,
Yeah.
sort of thing,
Well, maybe we can highlight sections that apply, or direct them to sections that apply to their areas, DPW,
I was planning to do
whatever,
that, yeah.
what are the schools, to focus on. I do think they should get more opportunity to give us feedback and time to digest it than just anybody in the community,
Mhm.
particularly since a lot of their agency or department names show up as implementers and
Right.
or partners in the plan, and whether there's been, I'm not sure whether there's been much of any evolution of the action areas since the time you and Weston and Sampson met with them and discuss what's possible, what are the barriers. If it's evolved in a way that they don't recognize it anymore, better to have them let us know now than find out after.
I agree, yeah.
The last thing I sent out to department heads was just the list of actions that we had without the discussion. So this was when we had like that kind of, and the outline. And I think also the prioritization matrix type thing. But so hopefully, I mean, we've reworked the actions to a degree since then, but hopefully none of them would be like huge, crazy surprises in terms of the content of just what the actions are. But I agree. What I would do is send it out to them with listing out which actions apply to which departments / boards and committees, and then go from there. But so it sounds like you guys are in agreement that I can send this version out to the boards and committees and department heads. Okay.
And you guys, the Development Commission, is that a city-appointed commission or somehow?
It's volunteer.
Is
that what you mean?
But are they a city appointment?
It's a committee like this one, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know why they would be any less eligible to get that early
Yeah.
than the public than any other, city.
I agree.
department.
The last thing, so I shared it with the mayor's office as well when I got this draft. And so waiting to see if she has any kind of, some reason that I wouldn't know of like, no, I want to wait until you have a more final version or I get my comments in. That's like the last piece that I'm going to try to figure out, but hopefully I can get it, ask her about it like before the end of this week. And then by the end of this week, then I'll know like, okay, we're just going to send it out to everybody. That would be the last thing I'm waiting on. Now that you guys have said it's cool.
Great. I saw you re-up the cover art
Yeah.
thing as well.
Finally, sorry
see
for the delay.
If we get any bites on that, I'm going to try to target a couple specific people.
Cool.
With that, whose kids I know are artistic folks that may want to take on a project, let's create something. Probably do it with that too large a time commitment, but if anybody else, saw Cassie sent an email not long before this, so feel free to share that out. Anyone, anywhere in the community.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get it up onto various Facebook groups and things like that. Maybe I'll try to post it from the EAC group and then maybe share it out from there.
Okay. And one alternative that Weston Simpson suggested potentially if we want to do like kind of a last effort for it was at our table for the Culture Chaos. Bring like coloring art supplies and like a
is a good
form.
idea.
That was a really good idea.
Yeah, they're good. So I was like, that is a good idea. So just as a fun activity to do for
Yes,
people
I
who
love
stop
that
by.
idea.
And then we'll just bring the form that they can sign. And be like, yes, we can use this to it. So
Two other things, but first the photos. I mentioned I went to Pat's page and like grabbed a bunch of stuff.
Cool.
And I put it into the drive, and I went through my own stuff and grabbed some things I thought were good and added those. But if anybody else has stuff, I don't know how quickly. I imagine they're going to start seeding the final document with like graphics and photos and things like that. So if you want to get stuff in there, if you have other sources or things you want to share, now is probably the time to get all that in there. Again, I don't know what their process is for reviewing and choosing stuff, but let them.
They have a
I
bunch
know
of
you would put a bunch of
pictures.
stuff in there
They have
too.
a bunch of pictures in there right now, like 10 or 12
Right.
pictures next to the cover of documents
Mm-hmm.
that the city's produced in the past, but also some other stuff like the solar at the landfill.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if those are any of the ones you get.
No, I don't think they've used anything. I mean, I was just doing it last week.
Charging
so.
stations.
And I know Cassie had previously, found photos from other events and put stuff in
That looks
there.
pretty
So,
good.
so maybe they don't need that much else. I don't know, but it's always good to have just sections like that. And even if we get additional like, kid art kind of things that like there could be an extra section there, just like a couple extra pages of that maybe or something like that. I don't know depending on how much space they might need to fill or if they need that. But
definitely.
always good to have a little more personality in it.
Mhm.
The other thing that just occurred to me is that there is supposed to be a letter from this committee that we want to put in there. I don't think we've even started talking about drafting that or doing that. I don't know if they've asked about it or not, but
I guess the question, I think it's good to remind that they might have we were talking about we were focusing on this review, but I think it's a good thing to start discussing because how much time do you guys think you would need to craft something like that?
A year?
Oh. So yeah, right? I start talking about
It's not minutes, Connie. It's just.
Brutal.
Touche.
Nasty, nasty. They've gotten shorter.
You're on time. But no, I think yeah, it depends on the I can ask if you want to wait a little bit longer, I can ask them like how long does it need to be? I would think just at least a page.
I think
But
a
if you
page.
I would think so, yeah.
You want to brainstorm it at the next meeting? Kind of put an outline together?
Or do you want to assign one person to just do it?
We could just
Those are
start
the
a
two ways.
document, like an outline that we all contribute to or something like that.
I'm willing to do a first draft,
Yeah,
and won't mind if it's not accepted, but I'm willing to do something that we can talk about next time.
that'd
A
be great.
straw dog.
Why don't you start? Yeah, that'd be good. And then if you can do it in the Google Drive and then like link
Yeah.
it to us, we can maybe even provide comments ahead of time and, make some revisions there. And then
I think
we
one
can-
of the things we have to decide, which we can talk about next time, is just like what perspective we want to take. There are a lot, like if you go to different communities, there are different ways of doing it. You can be very formal, you can
Right.
be very casual. We need to sort of think about how we want to present it in terms of the.
I think we would start by saying, thank you for your interest in this.
So I'm going to say what you just said. He said we start by saying thank you for your interest in this.
tend to run a little more casual than formal generally, although writing maybe not as much, but,
Friendly.
I mean, I know you've
Friendly.
had some ideas about.
I really liked that one letter that was that talked about the written from the future. I did
yeah.
like that. I don't know whether other people liked that or not.
Is it from the future or to the future?
From the future.
From the future,
Oh,
thanking
kids.
the community for everything they did.
That
it was
was
very
right.
Yeah, I just thought that had it, because I think
Right.
that opens people's minds to
Yeah.
what we're really talking about here. We're talking about if we do these things, then the future will look like this as opposed to if we don't.
Right.
And I just liked that.
I think that's good. If you want to start it from that perspective, like,
Okay,
do it. And like,
Okay.
let's see how it goes.
all right.
I think that is good. As always, the things that we do for our future selves
Yeah.
are.
And it's also a way of reviewing all the things that the city has already done even before the climate action plan. There are so many other things that
Mhm.
the city actually has done. Although if someone's gonna help me with that list, Cassie.
We have that list.
Their PDF has a lot of it.
That's true,
Yeah,
actually,
it
yeah.
does. It does, for sure. Okay, so yeah, Connie.
Okay,
start-
yes, I will
get
do that.
Get that going.
Yeah.
We'll see again what we can discuss beforehand. If not, we can do a little more formal breakdown of it at the next meeting.
And if people don't think it's a good idea, once they've really seen it, we can talk about it, it's just a place to start.
Yep.
Okay,
Always gotta start somewhere. Okay, anything else on the climate action plan?
I think so. I don't think so.
I did notice that the actions now, I know they said they were gonna deal with metrics and mitigation, emission mitigation, emission reduction metrics related to the various actions. But unless I'm missing it, or they presented it in some other format, I'm still just seeing words without definitions in terms of timetable and cost. A dollar sign, $2 signs, $3 signs, or short, medium, long, it really doesn't tell you much. I know this can't be prescriptive and precise, but it doesn't tell you a lot. I mean, and those are two critical elements. So I know that was on their, I thought it was on their radar to somehow address that. I so far haven't seen any real legend or code or whatever.
I do feel like I remember talking to them about that too, so I'll readdress that.
All right, so next time we'll have, we'll hopefully have shared it with other committees and departments, pending the mayor's go ahead with that. We're okay with that from our side. Cover our piece, get a letter going from the committee that will be in front of that. And again, any photo reviews or anything else that people have. No, and then, if you can communicate that part back to us. Again, just let us know when your next meeting or two with them is, in case anybody wants to sit in. I know
Okay.
it's still Thursdays, probably, right?
I think the next one.
Let's
It's
put you on the
either
spot,
no. I have it on
Have your
here.
calendar memorized.
Because I want to say. No, not this Thursday. It would be next Thursday, but I'm actually going to be away next Thursday. So I was going to try to reschedule with them potentially. So I'll keep you all posted.
Okay, super. Okay, then we're gonna move on from that to the next bit, which I was hoping to have a little bit more fleshed out, the municipal aggregation thing. So the amended schedule was that we open the public comment period starting today, public review period. The end of last week, going back and forth with Lindsay, trying to get everything sorted in terms of good energy providing stuff, the city being ready to post and like do all that stuff. We weren't quite there. We were supposed to get on a call, it was originally scheduled for before this meeting to talk through all that. Ended up getting pushed till tomorrow morning. So I won't know fully until tomorrow morning when everything is gonna happen. So my guess is that maybe the public review period could potentially open later this week still. I mean, maybe as early as Wednesday if everything is ready to go. That's a 30-day period. Possibly it will be pushed to next week, which starts with Memorial Day, which is not ideal. So we'll see. So I know I'd asked everybody about the public hearing date, which is going to be somewhere in the middle of that 30-day period. We were looking at June 12th. Now, maybe we end up pushing it until the next week. That next week is June 19th, which is Juneteenth, which is a holiday. I believe the city offices are closed, so we will not be able to do that that day. So it would have to be another day that week, possibly like the 18th or the 20th. The 20th I could probably do. The 18th I could probably do as well. So if anybody has preferred dates on that, I mean, I'll keep everybody posted, but we are going to need to decide that once we know for sure when everything is actually opening. We're so close and yet just can't quite get over.
That would be in the evening?
Be in the evening, yeah. Be hosted here at the city offices. Again, I have to check the schedule too to see when, like, say, the upstairs meeting room is available.
I don't know how much of a conflict that this is, but the Democratic committee meeting is on the 18th that evening.
Okay, and Tuesdays tend to be city council related stuff too, potentially, or school committee. I don't even know.
So maybe the 20th.
So the 20th might be better, and that's fine. I would be pushing it. Like, they were originally talking about the 13th. So let's look at the 20th as a possibility for that. There's also like a DOER consultation meeting that we'll need to have as part of that. That I won't know any more about when that's going to happen until we open the public comment period and a message goes to DOER that sort of triggers that. So again, I was hoping maybe I would have that information today to know when that was going to be, or at least an idea. No such luck. So keep everybody posted. Once I know more after tomorrow's meetings, I'll send out an update to everybody about what's going to happen there. Again, not much for us to do as a committee, really, other than sort of be the city's representative at the public hearing, unless the mayor wants to show up or send another person in her capacity. But yeah, then we just have to sort of let public comments roll in to the extent that there are going to be any. We can, again, promote the information about it. There'll be a program website that gets published, and so we can send that to people, send people to that if they have questions. There'll be all sorts of informational pieces available to share and send to people. So, and I don't know if they do a public mailing on that or not. There's certainly public notice in the newspaper and other things legally required to get the word out about that. So. All right. And yeah, if we end up doing it on the 20th, then that's just a couple of days after our next meeting. So that would kind of be good timing to be able to meet before that happens. Again, so we're on the cusp at this time next month. We'll be well into the public review period.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Didn't you think you had a lot of tasks for people to help with Publicizing it.
Publicizing it maybe once we get in there, but I don't know that there's a ton that we'll need to do. When Good Energy broke out everything that needed to happen,
Okay.
it's more like stuff that the mayor's office needs to do, and that's kind of where we're getting held up right now, is like being able to communicate clearly exactly what needs to happen and when, and like where that's coming from. So that's what we're trying to iron out in tomorrow morning's phone call.
Yeah.
Okay. If we can get that done. Yeah, the committee really doesn't have a ton that we need to do. We've done the work that we need to do overall. All right, so moving on. What's
I
that?
said, well, you have.
Well,
Yeah. The royal we.
nothing happens. Nothing happens in a vacuum. You know that. All right, so the heat pump pilot program, we did talk about this a little bit earlier, but the RFP has been out for a while now. There is a chance up to the end of this week for people to submit. You know that we've heard a little bit in terms of interest from certain groups. I think, Connie, one message you had was like the Center for Eco-Technology was investigating whether they wanted to do it. Another person that we heard from last week who got a partnership with another Mass State partner that looks like they're going to respond to it. So assuming there's going to be at least a few interested parties. Again, maybe seeing this as an opportunity to launch something bigger, something ongoing, so that this wouldn't just be like a standalone thing that would die and then go away. Because certainly, you know, there's opportunities to monetize it beyond this $500,000, right? And I know, again, if you're out looking at stuff, there's startups around doing this stuff, you know, that take a cut of savings, or they're, you know, paying them for their services to help them electrify and save money. Along the REAP grant thing, like I said, I think I mentioned last time I met a group that was like getting, helping people apply for all that stuff in exchange for like, you know, a small amount of money to help them navigate the process.
I'm sorry, who got that grant, the REAP grant, or their?
This is an organization I met. I don't remember their name. I'm just saying that the landscape is really developing around all this stuff, around this sort of like concierge level, like help people navigate this, help them understand what they might be eligible for, help them understand what they can do, and help them do it. Right, that's the important part, is actually getting this work done. So anyway, so it's just a burgeoning landscape of, you know, businesses and entities that are cropping up around this, because I mean, just like with the, you know, the federal government's weatherization program, like all these agencies started coming up out of that to do that efficiency work. And this is, I think, very, very similar, if not quite as centralized.
Is the target market businesses or individuals?
Both.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, in the RFP, I don't believe there's any distinction in terms of like how the money has to be spent, right? Or is there a specific, is it a specific amount of residents?
A specific amount needs to go towards incentives from the total 500,000.
Right.
So, but they're welcome to craft how, well, we kind of crafted how that would get out there, but we were trying to reach like, yeah.
And those are additional incentives beyond whatever federal
Yes.
or state or local
Yes.
incentives there might be, right?
Yes, just straight money.
Multifamily housing?
I want to say yes. I think it was very open, like trying to help renters, trying to help
It's
landlords.
fine wherever
Yeah.
you can. It's like, yeah, it's just get kilowatt hours reduced essentially,
yeah.
and like, you know, change or swap from fossil to electric.
And I don't know if this is the place to bring it up, but also I've been in touch with someone from Northampton who is starting a group to provide volunteer coaching to people who are interested in switching to electric. And we talked about, since we've talked about that, John, that we could have a Northampton, Easthampton group, which may be more effective, there'd be more of us for one thing, to provide that service to Northampton and Easthampton. He said they've had a meeting. I don't know how many people attended, but he's pretty gung-ho. So I thought that was really wonderful. And I told him that I would share that with our committee, and hopefully we can collaborate in some way.
Yeah, if they're doing anything that we can help, you know, augment or work with, that's great too. I mean, grassroots is good as well. I mean, not everything needs to have a profit motive, but it tends to be, the follow through tends to be easier when you've got somebody with a contract on the
We'll
line.
clean up after the consultants are paid and gone.
Well, there may be people who really don't feel they can pay someone.
Right.
I mean,
Well, that's the whole thing about this is like, right, the people wouldn't have to pay and there would be extra incentives given to them to participate in the program. And the money is coming, out of that pool. And then maybe that's the type of thing somebody can use to launch a business or to grow something
That's true too, yeah.
that has, legs beyond that when those incentives dry up. But again, because there's certainly plenty of money to be saved or to be gained from government programs to do this work. All right, well, we'll see. And then Cassie, what do you know about the review process? Like when
I
he
don't
has
know
to
anything,
convene?
unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of waiting on. Go ahead.
And there'd be somebody from Northampton, I assume, also. And are you reviewing things individually and like giving them scores, or is it being done in like a group setting? Or you don't know?
I still don't know.
Okay.
What I would plan to do is, at a minimum, is I would assume that they will share the proposals with us, and maybe we would have some kind of set a date to all convene, have a Zoom meeting to talk about our feelings about the proposals. At a minimum, they might create some kind of scoring system that would be helpful. I don't know. But basically, whenever I get an update from them, I will email it to you all and be like, this is what the process is.
Okay.
And if they let me, I'll share the proposals that we've gotten with you all. And then you guys can look at it and send me your feedback, and then I will use that as my feedback to them. I mean, I'll review them myself as well, but I feel like you guys are just as equal in the, if not more so, important in terms of determining who that person will be or which proposal is accepted.
My guess is that they'd be pretty tight-fisted about where it's a public bid, sharing information before evaluations and decisions are made that with people who they may not have control over who we talk to.
That's interesting. I don't know. Yeah.
I've been in places before where that would have been verboten, but
Okay.
hopefully it'll work out.
I will try to actually just reach out to the woman from CEC, Megan, I think, directly and be like, is this going to be how I can do this? And see, just to get an idea.
Okay. Good. Look forward to some updates there and see at least how many responses we get. More than zero would be
Awesome.
He talked.
Okay, then we've talked a little bit about being communities and climate leader communities and what needs to be done there. Connie, you mentioned that it's in the hands of the ordinance committee, the city council for the opt-in stretch code piece of that.
Yep.
And that's their meeting tomorrow night.
Right, there was a meeting, I think since we've met with, there've been 2 ordinance meetings, one of which I presented at, and then there was another meeting that Connie, K-O-N-I, the city councilor, organized where she invited a couple of developers and Cassie. And then, and actually the one I presented at was before our last meeting, but then there was the one where the contractors came. And then there was another one where Chris Mason was able to come
From DOER.
From DOER to answer some questions that people had. There's going to be a meeting tomorrow where I think they're going to decide whether or not they're going to recommend that it be moved forward to the city council. And obviously, there was a lot of discussion about the true monetary effect of the specialized code on developers. And clearly, from everything that we've heard, it really doesn't affect developers who are building affordable housing because there's so many incentives and opportunities to be reimbursed for things. And interestingly, Connie just sent all of us an email recently that the real increase is if a developer chooses to build mixed housing. I mean, mixed heating, so that if they're building a home and they still want to have fossil fuels, that can cost a lot of money for them because they have to meet other standards. So, which is interesting. So anyway, tomorrow's meeting, I got the feeling that they will vote on it tomorrow.
That's what I hear as well. Yeah, and I plan to go.
Isn't that the idea though, Connie?
I think that's exactly the idea.
That if they're not ready to
Electrify.
they're gonna go with the fossil fuel gas burner or whatever, and they're supposed to be wired and piped and whatever for the other.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, although I don't think that's really what's so where the big extra money comes, just putting in the watering. I think it has more to do with, they have to meet a very strict, what's called HERS
Yeah.
rating, which require, if there's,
Efficiency.
they would have to really do a lot more to insulate and get the right windows and everything so they can meet that HERS rating.
Envelope and like,
Yeah.
Under the
ventilation.
Under the
specialized-
sustain, under the specialized code, it would be even high, the HERS
Okay,
rating
well,
gets
that hasn't
even.
been mentioned so much in the past, when we talked about the differences between the whatever it's called, the special,
The
stretch code,
stretch
the
code and the
difference between the stretch
specialized
code and the
codes, right,
optional.
yes.
It was really
Right.
just, in my recollection, it was just presented as a difference being that you had to wire for solar and heat pumps, et cetera. I didn't hear about the
Well,
HERS thing, because that is.
We're
there are a lot of
getting
difficulties.
feedback that, from people who know what they're talking about, and I admit, I know nothing about construction, that if a developer chooses not to build all electric,
Okay.
then they will have, there will be costs associated with continuing to have fossil fuel heat or whatever they're
Right.
doing.
Okay.
That just will
Did you
cost
go to
them
the
more.
meeting with the builders?
Yeah.
What was the general tone of that?
What's interesting is I also listened to the DOER telephone conversation where they had people call in. I think that there's a lot of confusion about the stretch code, which is dramatically different from the previous code that was being used, and the specialized code. That the developers really are unhappy with the stretch code, and they just feel like the specialized code, they made the argument, and it sounded valid to me, that it's all very well to talk about the increased cost if you're closer to Boston, where real estate and rental costs are so high anyway, that the percentage increase a developer would put on the purchase would not be as significant as it would be
Right.
somewhere in Western Massachusetts, where real estate prices are lower, and so the percentage increase is higher. And that seems like a legitimate argument to me. I guess from my point of view, we either believe that we have to stop using fossil fuels and we need to regulate that, or we don't, and maybe it is more expensive, but it's a key component of saving the planet. So,
Well, as far as like Easthampton goes, right, and like adopting it here, we already have a gas moratorium.
that's true.
Right, so any of these new constructions aren't gonna get gas hookups anyway, so unless you're like, I'm definitely gonna put an oil tank in
Well,
here.
no, but a lot of
And,
people
like,
use tanks and
propane.
propane.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying,
that's-
that you're making that choice to do that or put oil tanks in or like that, you're already, and those run, then you need electric to just like blow all that stuff out anyway, so, and like, what's the equipment
Yeah.
cost and the maintenance cost?
And I think also, just
versus,
like with
like-
anything associated with this, things will get less expensive over time. And I think part of it is some of the materials that are required are expensive, like, windows that have 3 panes in them and all that stuff. They're expensive. So, is there anything else?
The only thing
share?
I honestly no, I think you caught it all. Just reiterating that one of the bigger concerns from the first meeting was, is this going to be really impactful for the affordable housing projects that are currently underway? And we seem to be able to confirm at the last meeting, the second one, that would not be the case. Most of them are building to that standard already anyways to be eligible for the state and federal incentives.
Exactly.
That makes it make sense for them to pursue the affordable housing projects. So
Yeah.
for me personally, that was a large concern, that we didn't want to do something that was going to impact these really important affordable housing projects, but it seems like it wouldn't, from what we could glean from the state DOER, and even from the developers themselves seem to agree with that finding. So that was important to me, just to reiterate.
I think that's very important. That was very important for,
That would be important to EDIC as well.
but yeah, I mean, like, because we already have these projects in the works. We've found, given developers the go ahead, they're the ones who are going to do it. And,
Right.
It matters.
but I don't think we need to be concerned about that. And Connie didn't feel that we need to be concerned about that once we have that
Convinced,
information. So.
Once it's passed, when does it become effective?
Well,
Good question.
typically it takes 6 months for it to become effective. And we've had conversations about whether it should be extended beyond that so that these developers, not the affordable housing developers, but the developers who have things in process, but they don't have their permits yet, whether the timeframe should be changed so that they don't have to meet the specialized code standards. And I mean,
Basically, there was a question
different
of
people
what
have
are we
different
allowed
opinions
to
about
it's a
decide.
political football.
Yeah,
Okay.
they'll need to
for
figure
sure.
that out. Basically, the range though is 6 to 12 months is
Yeah.
how long you can
Yes.
delay it. I think typically at least 6 is recommended. DOER puts it recommended 6 to 12 months. There was a question of if we could go longer than 12 months. I reached out to DOER because
you did? Oh.
right, to see if can we go longer than 12 months and still be because right now, as long as we have voted to adopt this specialized code before the July 25th deadline for climate leader communities, we're eligible. But I was like, would we still be if we were adopted it but not implementing it until
Right.
over 12 months away? And he was like, no. That's an unprecedented question. No one else has asked yet, but he's like, that really goes against the spirit of the climate leader designation.
Yeah.
He does not recommend us going that route.
Right.
If part of the
That's good.
incentive.
That's really
yeah.
good information.
It is. So, my recommendation, is to not go over 12 months in terms of the delayed implementation. Though legally we may be able to. It just would kind of we probably wouldn't be able to go to climate leader anymore,
Okay.
or we would wait. So,
That's really good to know.
Yeah, I would not want to wait that long. Sorry, Cassie.
I'm sorry, no.
No, go ahead.
So if ordinance passes it tomorrow night, would it go to the June city council?
I don't know if it goes to city council or where they have to have an open meeting about it.
I
Do
think
you
it
know?
would just go straight to city council. Chris Mason spoke about this at the last meeting, but it was a very brief little thing he discussed. But he was like, no, the process is city council. So we have a subcommittee process here, but I don't think it does need to go to public meeting because we're a city and not a town.
Okay.
And we have that system of government.
Well, let's hope they pass it tomorrow night.
And then in theory, it could all line up quite nicely. We can still go for the July. I think we have wiggle room for 2 city council meetings, if I remember correctly, because the city council, the deadline is so late in July that maybe we could if it needs to go to that. But I don't know if that's typical for things like that.
It does make me nervous to wait until the absolute last
I know.
minute. I would like to have the city council vote on it as soon
I
as
agree.
possible, if it comes to that.
But I think the city council's review process is part of that public meeting, as it were, because that is a public meeting. I mean, these all have been public meetings, but that one is, the big one, I guess I would say.
Well, that's out of our hands, obviously.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to them. I'll go to them. And
Yeah,
they're-
but I mean, Connie has really been terrific about following through on this, and she's had a lot of conversations with a lot of different people, and is working hard to get it moved along, so thanks to her. I have something, the agenda says REAP grant information.
Yeah,
Is
I
there
just-
something more that we?
No, there's not. I just kind of let, it's just a thing. I just want to keep reminding myself of. There's nothing specific. It's just, it's more like when we do that heat pump pilot project or anybody who's doing that, just to remind them of the
Got it.
fact that REAP
I see.
grants are another avenue that's available to anybody that's doing stuff here. Again, hopefully that'll be referenced in these responses to things, but we'll just have to see. Sorry, just trying to check the city calendar from the 20th. There's a city council meeting on the 20th. That's a good. What were you saying was on the 18th, Connie? June 18th?
Oh, it's the Democratic
Oh,
Committee
the
meeting.
Democratic.
I don't know how much of a conflict that
And
is.
where, yeah,
They meet in that meeting room over at the fire station. It's like upstairs.
sure, of the public safety complex, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it's called, yeah.
Yeah, all right, we may have to do the 18th, just because I'm looking at, there's a city council meeting on the 20th upstairs, so that.
Yeah, I don't think we should not do it on the 18th because of that.
Right. That would be a major conflict there with the city council. Okay. And you mentioned the other thing is the zero emission vehicle policy, and that's being worked on.
They voted last subcommittee meeting to issue that, to approve
Okay.
it, to send it to city council. So the next city council meeting is when they will do discussion of that, hopefully with adoption. That one's not very controversial at all.
Was that the ordinance committee? Who
Yeah.
voted? Oh, I was walking out.
Yeah, that was at the very end because it was easy and quick to do. They felt like it was good. So yeah, just like waiting for the next city council meeting and they'll talk about that there and hopefully it won't be very hard to adopt. And I plan to go to that meeting as well to advocate for it and make a comment. And are we in the green community section right now?
We are.
Okay, so yeah, that's the only other piece. Everything else will be satisfied from the cap that we need for that application. So now I'm just waiting to see when we get that application information come out from DOER and just kind of keep aligning ourselves with it. I'll start working on it as soon as I can. I don't know if you guys, if anyone has any other questions about climate leader. I should have something for green communities.
Good.
Is it called Climate Leader Community Program or Climate Leader Communities Program? Because it goes back and forth in
Oh,
the
Lord.
documents,
Yeah.
your documents. And
I have no idea. I have to check.
Yeah.
Something like that.
not a big
but,
deal, I'm just wondering.
No, it's a good question. I'd have to look at it. I don't remember. But it's a part of green communities. It's like the next level
Okay,
in
it's
green
probably
communities.
communities.
Yeah, yep.
I've just seen it written both ways.
And then speaking of green communities, I don't know if you guys want to now try to determine who would be the person to partner with me on so I can teach them on MEI, Mass Energy Insight. If it's not the right time to do it, that's fine. But just kind of putting it out there.
John already volunteered.
I volunteered, but we have to decide.
I move,
I don't think we need a motion.
No, I-
It's like you can volunteer and like, again, we can confirm it.
thank you for
Yeah, just in
volunteering.
case there was
That's true.
competition, I wanted to make my speech and why I should do that. MEI.
You have 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay, I'll just reach out to you, John, then.
All right.
MEI stuff. And then, yeah, still same story with grants and things, like, I just can't do it right now. But hopefully, when we discuss, when we have our meeting talking about next steps for the cap, we can include that in there, because that would be a good source of potential grants, even if we don't know about the climate leader piece, still could be a good source, so.
Right.
We can go from there.
I meant to ask you this before, but with the planning department, is there a hire or decision made on that?
Can't say.
No, I think,
Anything can be said on the public record.
yeah, and I think it's they don't have someone. Yeah, unfortunately, which
What's
is like
that?
a new thing. They don't have someone to fill that position anymore, which is a
Okay.
new development. Which sorry, I don't
Okay.
know how many more details I can share, but
Okay.
it was like new today. I just got an email from HR about it. So
Okay,
so we're working on it though.
right.
The
Does
planning
that mean
director.
re-advertising or just
Probably.
going to the next person on the list?
I'm not sure. I think it would be re-advertised, but I don't know. Yeah.
All right, so move past that. School bus electrification. We don't have clear next steps. John and I met just a couple weeks ago now, sort of talk through what we thought about the response we got, like sort of a lack of anyone on the school committee side kind of pushing this for us or like, working, advocating for it right now, and the mayor sort of not throwing too much weight behind any of it at the moment, and like how.
Well, that's an understatement, I have to say, so I would say that she was raising objections to why we would make a priority of moving forward on school bus objections. I read it, and
Right.
I did want to go over her points with her and see if we could change her mind about it, so that she could at least go to the school committee with a positive, more positive. So you're gonna ask her to meet with us, right?
Yeah, I haven't had.
It doesn't have to be a long meeting, I think 15 minutes would probably handle it.
Right. Yeah, I was hoping again, maybe we should be here today, but we can look at
Yeah,
another
right.
time to
Right.
set that up and talk through. In the meantime, I actually met another school committee member, Linda Marquis, who I had not met before. So there's any number of them, like, that, I could go to directly and like talk to about it, just sort of ask about it, but
What was her,
I didn't ask her, I wasn't in a situation where I could ask her about the
Oh,
school
okay.
bus thing, and I just met her and like we became friendly for a moment.
I see, okay, now you have to put that in.
No, you don't need to put that in.
So, can we step back one?
Yeah,
The reason for approaching the mayor about it is because we're her committee.
Right.
And thought that the mayor could give it a boost on the agenda to get it there faster, to get it prominence, whatever it is, priority. And the way she actually ended the email response to us was like kind of good luck, maybe they feel differently about it than I do. So it sounded kind of like, no offense taken if you go to the school committee and discuss it with them.
But what you said last meeting though, it sounded like she really doesn't understand what you're suggesting, because she said something about how she doesn't think that there should be a regional transportation system, and that's not what we're suggesting. We're just suggesting, let's see if we can leverage a group attempt to get the vendor to give us electric vehicles. That's what, it's not about us all having one great.
We're talking about different things.
Oh, that's what, it would be very useful if you could explain to her that's not what you're
We had a
suggesting.
meeting with her, but yeah, let's give it a shot.
But you met with her about that?
No, she came to our committee meeting and we essentially said all those things and then.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago too.
Yeah, it has been a while, and here's the thing, is like, we don't really have a firm outline of like how we're going about
You
this,
just
right?
wanna
Everything is
pursue
like
it.
theoretical. So it's, and trying to get Hampshire or whoever else on board, is a whole other matter of like, trying to deal with these piecemeal groups or like Northampton or whatever else, so it's hard to patch together a strategy because we just don't even know like what the end result looks like, right? We can't.
Well, you
we're not just
need
trying to-
the directive.
Is it the first step to have the school committee say, yes, we would like to do this?
Well, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
We're not sure we can do this, but it's a
Yes.
worthy goal, it's gonna have a big
Yes.
impact, and we wanna go on record as saying we support this and do what we can to help you take it to the next step and
Yes,
work with the others.
Exactly.
That's how we look at it, but.
Well, that's definitely it. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of
Yeah.
like, it's gonna be easier for them to support it. I mean, of course, if we were to walk in and say, hey, here's a roadmap for how we get this done. And like, all you have to do is like put a little weight behind it and like, it'll happen, A will lead to B, will lead to C. We're more just like, yeah, we want you to make this a priority. So then we can go figure out how to actually do it.
Because how can you meet with other communities if you don't have the school committee on?
That's right, that's it, and to me, the priority was to talk with the other communities, not to, as you guys had argued, to commit to a certain year, which is one thing that we got blowback on at that.
You were right, John.
School committee meeting, well, at least we had too tight of a target for their liking.
Yeah, well, part of it is they're gonna, they gotta work with the budget person too, right? And like deal with any pushback that they're gonna have.
No, I totally understand they're wanting to go slow, cautiously on it. But that's not saying you can't decide we want to talk with other school districts about talking with our vendor. And we haven't even been able to have a conversation in a year and a half with the school bus vendor, because I think nobody here, I speak for myself, feels like we're authorized to go speak with the school bus vendor, because we don't
Right, not at
represent the
this
school.
point.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been waiting just to have that conversation. Maybe they're gonna pour tons of money into it and make us a, poster child, but we have no idea. Not likely, but.
Durham is the shared vendor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough year for the school committee, so because
That's true, everywhere.
Northampton, what a nightmare. And Hampshire, I don't
Yeah.
don't follow Easthampton schools, but
Last year
Kind of
was
calm
tough.
this year.
Yeah, this year's not so bad so far, but
Yeah.
they still have budget to deal with. They're still negotiating with,
Yeah.
still negotiating with the union and like, and they still, we still don't have a superintendent, so that's been pushed. So that's gonna be,
But all we're asking them to do is just say, yeah, if you want to explore this, go ahead. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking
Sort
for
of.
them to say that if we come up with something, they'll agree to it even if it's a bad idea. We're just saying, is it okay if we look into this? That's all.
We're already looking into it. I think we really want their endorsement that they, this is
Yeah.
something that we care about.
Okay, that's what
Not
you're
just,
saying.
you all,
Yeah.
Okay.
follow your fancy. It's more
Yeah,
like,
they care about it.
we will make this a
We
priority.
don't know if it's feasible for sure. There's steps that have to be taken to make it feasible. We don't know, but we're going to pursue it and look into it, report back.
Right, if you can help us get there, like, we'll support it and we'll push for it and we'll push past the business manager or like whatever other objections might come up because we want this to happen.
The other reason it would really make sense for the school committee to endorse this is that going forward, there may be grant money available. It's not available right now for our particular situation. And if we had our ducks in a row, it would be so much easier
Right.
to take advantage of that.
Right, it's sort of like what's different about all these other school districts that have taken advantage of things already, right? That have been ready, that when an RFP is out, that they're ready to respond and say, hey,
Yeah.
I mean, number one, ownership of their buses
Well,
and the
Or just
people
being
who operate them.
Or they're just a single district applying and they don't really have a shot, but they acted, they applied, they tried to get money.
Right,
They might have got put on a wait list.
yeah, but it's the wherewithal, it's the willingness to take action sort of thing that, is the first thing to get. Yeah, again, and I know that generally speaking, the people in the community would be supportive of this, but it's just a matter of like, who do we, what's the proper protocol for getting on their agenda? We've tried this a couple, a few different ways, and we haven't quite gotten there, so.
Well, I'd be willing to attempt to, although you're gonna know these people better, and then maybe it's more your your turf to do that as chair, but I'd be willing to call up Megan. She was there when I presented to that finance committee about 9 months ago, and seemed positive, enthusiastic, and just try to get through to her and say, what's the situation with discussing this? I know it's a tough time, but we're just talking about taking baby steps, talk to other communities, talk to the vendor, and Mayor had some concerns, but we think that they can be addressed, or they were not really germane to what we were talking about. Just see what she says.
What if we, I'm not thinking this all the way through, I know. What if we ask for forgiveness instead of permission?
You mean contact some others?
Just do it.
Well, the thing is that we go to, I could go call up Durham, or that's the key one, right? And I could call up Durham and start, asking about it, talking about, we want to do this or whatever, and within a day, there's going to be a call back
From the mayor.
from the business manager's office saying,
As I said, I hadn't
you
thought
guys
all the
made
way
some decision,
through.
and who the hell's this guy from the Energy Advisory Committee? So you need to have some back.
I mean, the only way I can imagine contacting Durham now would be to go in as like this really disingenuous person, say, I'm just so curious, what plans does Durham have for us?
Sounds like a perfect job for you right there.
I would do that if you want. I'm good at stuff like that. Seriously, if you want me to do that,
I don't want you.
Okay.
Thanks, though.
Yeah,
Jamie, here.
Oh.
Can I,
go ahead.
or I have two things.
Uh-huh.
One is I work for a company that I might be able to dig up some case studies from other school districts, if that was helpful.
It's helpful always, but I mean, there's a lot of case studies out there. I mean, if they have direct experience with the nitty gritty of, that's always better, because you can talk to somebody, you get more information than you do from a 1-page, 2-page case study.
Right.
But that could be useful. But there's a lot of the resource, I forget, the NRDC is a big webpage, and lots of people working on resources for communities. The APA does.
We would need a specific case study
At some
that's
point.
germane to like our situation where we
we can talk
contract
about
out
it.
where we don't own anything
That's the
ourselves and
biggest
we're
issue.
relying on a third party.
Yeah, and there's
Like
not much
that's-
competition for the third party.
Right,
There's
and
just one.
that
Yes.
third party
Mhm.
basically, doesn't have 3 other companies
in
bidding
town.
against them,
Okay, yeah.
sort of thing.
I'll ask around, but that research
Yeah.
is probably better than.
But
But the other thing I
Let's
was
keep the
wondering,
idea open. Yeah.
was like, if bi-directional charging was part of the presentation.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
understand.
it is, yeah.
Bi-directional charging.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I listed that as one source in the presentation. I think I listed that as one source of revenue to support the operation to offset the high capital cost of the electric buses.
But you'd have to own the buses for it to make sense for the city, and so it's real just, that would be an incentive for Durham to try to
Durham
understand.
could be doing
Yeah,
this.
so
Durham could
it's-
take
yeah.
advantage of that.
Right.
And I think part of the concern is like, just generally is jeopardizing a contract that we have currently with Durham, like, if they revise it, it becomes more expensive and the city can't afford it, or that's a concern as far as I understand it, just like,
Right.
it's already like, there are one option, so we're like.
Yeah, there was already a
beholden
big
to them.
increase, right, any increase in school budget, like they'll have to find a way to offset that somehow.
My hope is that there would be something from, and it feels like, and I don't know if this is like lame to say, but it feels like there needs to be something from the state level compelling Durham to
Totally
change.
does.
You know, and then and maybe there would be another avenue if we can't get the headway that we want with the school committee, would be for the energy advisory committee to look for a way to join like kind of regional efforts to put pressure on the state, to put pressure on these private organizations to make those changes, and look at it in a broader way that way, which isn't as satisfying and isn't as, it's just longer, it's a longer view in terms of being impactful. But if you can't do anything else right now, can you then search it if there's like activist groups trying to get bills passed at the state level and be like, hey, we're one of those communities that can't do what we want to do because of this situation. Like, it needs to come from on high. I don't know. I don't know if that's appropriate, but.
They're moving in the direction, I think, with state fuel efficiency standards, or is it emission standards? That's one, two sides of the same coin, but state standards on moving up from passenger vehicle standards up into medium duty vehicles and further. So I think that is coming down the line. And then
Well, and now I think, and you're making me connect these dots too. It's, I mean, not state level, but like city level, right? To do this climate leader thing, we have a zero emission vehicle policy at the city level. So it's like,
It's only for
Why-
vehicles that we own.
I understand
Yeah,
that,
go on.
right? But
Mhm.
like that's something for us to stand on and say, yes, for things that we own, but like we should also be pushing this in any of our contractual relationships because, you know, it's what I mean, we've decided this is important enough to actually have something
Mhm.
on the books about this. So it's like, why are we just gonna like wave that away?
Right.
So,
That's a good point.
you know, that's some leverage we can have maybe with the mayor, with the school committee, and say, hey, you know, this at the city level, we're committed to this. So, you know, granted, this is a contract, we don't fully own, you know, what happens here, but we can also, like, we should be making this push in that direction too because of this.
we also shouldn't forget that whoever got in there, and we talked about it a little bit, is in one of the actions. And
understand.
Yeah,
we're proposing it to the public.
the
There
action.
gotta be somebody besides the Energy Advisory Committee who's willing to back us up in the town.
So it literally says school bus.
I'll look through it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing that would be interesting to know is the company that owns Durham has all electric school buses in England.
Yeah.
And I would
you're right.
like to know whether that's because they're being forced to by the government, or whether the president lives in England, or like, why?
Yeah.
And not here? Just would be interesting to know
Yeah.
that.
You're ready for a Scooby-Doo adventure.
With Durham.
Well, I actually tried to
Sherlock Holmes.
I tried to figure this out several years ago, like what's the deal with Durham?
Right.
And discovered they're owned by this British company, and guess what? All of their entire fleet is electric.
Well, it isn't yet, they committed to getting there.
Okay, sorry, all right, okay, but a lot of them, that's their policy, and a lot of their buses are
Yeah, so
electric.
what do we chop liver in the US?
Well, I keep wondering, like, what is Durham's policy? What, do they have a plan to electrify that we just don't know about? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, are they publicly traded?
I don't know, that's a good
Forget about
question. That's a very good question, I don't know.
Yeah, be able to find out more if they are, but I don't know anything about them.
Can we beat that one, Did?
Well, okay, so as far as next steps go, again, I will invite the mayor into our next meeting. Do you want to try to have a meeting with her, or should we try to reach some of the other members of the school committee? And just, you know, again, see if we can get on the agenda.
We can do
again.
both.
We do both.
We can do both, you know, and if she doesn't like it, we can at least say, we've been trying to meet with you. You know, we've
Right.
been trying to get a meeting, and you're in the indication in that email that you sent to
Right.
me, to us, whatever, was kind of like, good luck with this school committee. And
Yeah,
I don't know,
so, okay.
it wasn't, don't you dare bring it to the school committee.
So
So again, there's only so much to bring to the school committee. I mean, it's not like it's gonna result in anything happening immediately
No.
or anytime.
can I just, so what exactly is our plan now? Are you gonna continue to attempt to meet with the mayor, or are you gonna just move on to trying to get an appointment with the school committee?
I think we're saying both. I mean, she's a member of the school committee. We'll work with other members of the school committee as well.
So you're not necessarily gonna try to have a one-on-one with the mayor right now? What should I put in my notes? That's all I'm trying to find.
But we're confused in there.
Or put I'm confused. So,
Confusion about.
so you're gonna continue to attempt to meet with the mayor and contact school committee members.
Yes. But no. Yep, we don't really know. Just like we don't really know how we're gonna get electric buses, we don't even know how we're gonna meet with the school committee. But we're gonna try to bumble our way through this.
And the little children will die in the snow.
Josh is laughing. You
Yeah.
can't hear it.
No, I got it. All right, I don't have anything for the next piece on electric vehicle infrastructure in here. Nor, well, I guess if anybody has anything on electric vehicles they'd like to discuss. If we have too much at the moment. The new and other business with the community solar partnership with Sunwald, I did meet with the person who had come here previously. It's a while ago now. I think I have an email from her that I haven't responded to. They're interested in accessing basically, I think, our environmental justice populations, because that's what they deal with. And they talked about how it could help us, with a mailer promoting things. And again, talk about some of the other municipal partnerships that they've had and that they've worked through to be able to do that. So I don't have anything specific to bring up or ask anybody about right now. I will have another go around with her via email and then see if there's something we need to bring back to the committee to.
Because last time we
discuss.
talked about whether or not we wanted to have a specific relationship with one organization like that. Would you have any other thoughts about that since you?
I mean, I don't. I think it's generally speaking, yeah, I don't want to be in the business of like promoting specific businesses, but also like I do want to be helping connect people to community solar projects. And if they have, community solar projects, they have subscription needs, and they have like, low income populations that they want to serve, environmental justice populations that they want to serve, like let's have them be Easthampton populations, right? Versus like going somewhere else. So I don't know. So I'm all for supporting community solar and solar in general. So if that's, and it's not like the city's giving up anything or, it's fairly low risk as far as that goes, because these programs are well defined, the requirements are pretty clear, and it saves people money essentially. So not really too many drawbacks.
Okay.
And the fact that they've already worked it through with some other, larger municipalities leads me to believe that, some due diligence has been done in that regard. Not that we would want to punt that entirely, but also like, I think it probably checks out. Yeah, okay, and then Cultural Chaos is coming up in a couple weeks.
What's the day of that?
June 8th, Saturday, June 8th. It's from what, noon to 5?
Josh raised his hand.
Josh,
Yeah, just real quick. I'm sorry to say I'm going to be out of town that weekend. I really am bummed. I want to be there, but I can't.
Actually, it turns out I can go because my granddaughter's birthday party will not be on the 8th.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna go too.
Do we have swag?
We don't have swag.
So I can tell you what we do have. So we have a sandwich board. We have with letters. We have a table. We have like a physical fold-out table. We have a tent to put around. We have chairs for us to sit in. We have a big whiteboard with an easel and markers, colored markers to draw something on there. And then what I was hoping to get to bring was sheets of paper and drawing materials, and then those application forms for the cover art contest.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have a large poster about the climate action plan that I was planning to bring as well.
Oh, that's great.
And then we have a planning department banner.
I was going to ask you about the banner.
Yes, we have a planning
Okay,
department
cool.
banner. So yeah, we can decorate it.
What about, and I'd be willing to fund this, Josh, Oriental Trading?
Yeah. Yep.
Plug of cheap stuff.
A lot of cheap crap. Are they still in business?
I'm getting sun stickers to give to kids.
That's a nice idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, or keep coming back to the mayor's like magic room of toys here.
Yeah, what happened to
I
that?
want to ask her about that. I will ask.
Have them be like ecologically themed stickers, though.
It's like a
Yeah.
drawer full of toys. that
Like
you can
Legos and things
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
Like everything.
Josh said the stickers
I was
should
gonna
be
say, like,
collection themed.
if you get stickers, have them be like ecologically themed stickers,
Right.
like trees and earths and things like that.
I'll be hitting that catalog tonight.
All right.
Well, if they were like solar panels or so, you know, just something cool.
Yeah, you could do like the rub-on tattoos or something.
You know what else? Like pinwheels.
Now you're talking money, you know?
Oh, that's getting fancy.
Well, yeah, I might be willing to kick in a little something.
You go for it.
Well, maybe we could like have a joint effort here.
Anything else we could give away? Am I being too silly?
No, I don't think
Way
we
go crazy for that.
No, I don't think so.
Do we have any collateral materials to distribute?
Not yet. I don't think we do.
Well, I think by that time we might be in the place maybe for doing the outreach for advertising for the climate action plan comment period. So maybe I'll have flyers about that
And
and be like,
aggregation.
and
as
municipal
well.
aggregation.
Oh,
Yes,
aggregation.
municipal aggregation.
Okay.
So we'll probably have some
Oh.
like FAQ or something like that, like printable for aggregation that we can have for people.
Okay.
As well as the Bees Committee will have some stuff there too.
Right.
Do they have anything to hand out at this point?
Yeah, they will. People are creating one
Great.
pagers and stuff like that to have.
No, we can't let them outdo us.
Yeah.
We've been around longer, and they're a road committee, so.
Hey, we're still being recorded.
I am also on that committee.
No, that's good.
No, I know, they just have like a more straightforward
Fun.
sort of mandates, right? And like specific things that are, action oriented, whereas we are more policy
Okay.
oriented. Yeah. I mean, we'll have action plans, and we'll have aggregation plans, and with that, we won't have a contractor picked for the heat pump pilot program quite yet, but maybe there'll be something that we can share about that.
That'd be sweet.
We might have picked someone by then.
Yeah. Can we have a laptop that's like displaying like solar generation from any of our municipal or a tablet or something like that? I don't know, like even just like the high school or the middle school or.
That's been like an ongoing issue
Yeah,
for
I
me
know.
is getting access to that again for some reason. So I will try though.
Okay.
If anyone can do it, you can. What about the REAP grant program? Should we bring that?
They had a
I
handout.
could have something for that.
Am I being too obnoxious?
No, you're not being, no, let's have stuff like, you can always reuse stuff for other things too.
Okay.
But yeah, if there's a good piece, I'll take a look through the stuff that I've seen.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, lots of ideas.
Got it.
Just like lost my brain. Was
I
like,
say, how many extra things do we just give you?
nothing. No, it's all good. I'm just reading. I'm like, what are the things we're going to advertise at it? Which you just said, which is the CAP, municipal aggregation, and heat pump program.
And who is staffing it? Are we sharing staffing with the
Yeah, so I'm saying,
committee?
they'll have people there. Is it from 12 to 5? Is that?
Sounds right. I was planning to be there the whole day, but if anyone else is willing to attend, it sounds like maybe Connie can go.
I
and-
can
yeah.
definitely do
So
that.
even if it's just for a period of time, don't feel like you
Okay.
commit to the whole thing.
Yeah,
Because I'll be there. So it's kind of just whoever can go for as long as you can go.
Got it.
yeah. I could be there on the early side. I have a soccer game in the afternoon. Okay, yeah, so you'll feel free to come up with some ideas, bring some stuff. Anything, it's all good. Like, I think anything that's can engage people, kids and parents and adults will be fine.
Do we want to see whether we can get Mass Save to show up?
I don't think enough room.
Yeah, we'll have enough room.
But
They
don't
could've-
they have their own
Well,
stuff?
Mass,
Yeah, but they have to have,
so they'll be up to each contract. Maybe there's somebody will be there.
Okay.
Um,
I think if Mass Save were going to be there, they would have had to have already arranged a space with the.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, correct. I mean, they might have done that, but I don't know.
Yeah, there could be, so I
It
know.
might be advantageous if whoever's doing the layout could allow them to be near our table. That could be some cross fertilization there.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that works.
I can ask the city arts coordinator.
All right.
Maybe
I
they
have
don't want
one more thing to bring up.
Go ahead.
When I was at the co-op the other day, there was someone from this company, Revise,
Right.
and she told me about the Community First Partnership. Have you ever heard of this, Cassie?
I don't know, maybe.
Because it's something having through Mass Save, but they give out grants. Like this says that in 2023 to 2024, some organization received $60,000 to support project costs, including to hire a part-time energy advocate. They provide that you can get money for doing training, all these different things.
What's the name of it?
It's called Community First Partnership. Now, I think it may require, I think it may be about EJ communities. I don't know. I don't quite understand how Easthampton, if you have any EJ communities, then you can apply for anything, or I don't quite understand how that works.
I don't know.
But anyway, it's another source of money. I just wanted to mention it. And I'm wondering whether, anyone has applied for anything.
Was this, did you have this in an email at some point?
I sent you guys an email about it when I saw what it was, yeah.
Okay. Right, yeah, I don't know how we would go about applying for something like that. That sounds like something a sustainability coordinator.
And just looking at this now, it talks about 2020 through 2024. I wonder if there's actually funding for next year. Shelburne, she told me about it because Shelburne got money from it. And she is familiar with Shelburne.
Do we have any EJ communities in East
Yeah.
Hampton?
Four.
Four.
Income based.
For
Yes.
income based.
I can show you something if you want. There's like a map you can.
They have 4 zones.
Correct. 4
Not exactly
neighborhoods.
communities necessarily, but yeah.
Their neighborhoods.
Anyway, I just want to throw that out as something maybe we should keep in the back of our mind or look into or something. I don't know. I mean, we don't really write grants, so.
No, I mean, again, something like that's normally something like the planning department would have taken on, or and again, like a sustainability coordinator as a department would be looking for things like that to fund the work that they want to do.
Mm-hmm. And they may already, for all I know, have applied for grants through this. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Again, I'm not sure where the funding for it comes from.
Well, it says it's Mass Save, so it comes from the state, or from, I guess, from the utilities.
Right. So it's just like a separate part of like the Mass Save
It
program.
says the sponsors of Mass Save. I don't know.
Okay.
May I make a motion to adjourn?
Anybody have anything else?
I second.
All right, I got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.